Good evening. You're tuning in to AWANI Tonight with me, Farhana Sheikh. The Attorney General should answer questions in Parliament, suggests Deputy Speaker. And Khairi to brief PAC again next week on vaccines procurement. That's coming up. Malaysia recorded a staggering 199 COVID-19 deaths today, which is an all-time high in the country. This was recorded as fresh cases of COVID-19 infections declined marginally today, with 11,985 new infections reported. More than half of the new cases were detected in the KLANG Valley, with 5,550 new infections in Selangor, followed by 1,174 in Kuala Lumpur. Of all the cases today, majority are in Category 1 with no symptoms and Category 2 with mild symptoms. 178 cases in Category 3 experienced pneumonia, 45 patients in Category 4 require oxygen, while 65 in Category 5 are in critical condition. Public hospitals in the Greater Klang Valley have started to decant non-COVID-19 patients to private hospitals within the same area as of last night. President of the Association of Private Hospitals Malaysia, Datuk Dr. Kuljit Singh, said this was done to assist the government hospitals in managing COVID-19 patients.
Since last night, the decanting process has been going quite smooth. We are doing it in stages. Most private hospitals are quite prepared to receive non-COVID patients from the government. We have capacity to look after non-COVID patients in private hospitals comparing to treating COVID patients, because COVID patients will require a lot of monitoring, we need more human resource. But for non-COVID patients, it is quite simple and quite easy for us to manage.
Kuljit said currently the intensive care units for COVID-19 patients in private hospitals in the Klang Valley have reached full capacity.
We are managing the COVID patients which are stage 5 in private hospitals based on our manpower that we have. We cannot take more stage 5 COVID patients in private hospitals anymore because we have a capacity problem. We do not have the kind of manpower that the government hospitals will have, like medical officers and house officers. So what we have right now, category 5 COVID-19 patients in private hospitals are fully occupied, but we are managing well with what we have.
With this assistance, Kuljit hopes that COVID patients in need of special care can receive required treatments quickly, at the same time reduce overall mortality.
It's the intention of the private hospitals in Klang Valley to assist the government so that we are able to decant their non-COVID patients. This will enable the government to treat more COVID patients in their capacity that they have in their public hospitals.
Our Attorney General should be a Member of Parliament to enable the government's top legal advisor to be present in all parliamentary sittings and answer questions from lawmakers. Dewan Rakyat Deputy Speaker Datuk Seri Azalina Othman made this suggestion when asking Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, as the leader of the lower house, to consider calling Attorney General Tan Sri Idrus Harun to the upcoming 5 days special sitting next week.
Azalina pointed out that the Federal Constitution's Article 1452 states that it is the Attorney General's duty to advise the Yang di-Pertuan Agong or the Cabinet or any minister on legal matters as Malaysia's chief legal advisor. She also noted that the Attorney General is currently not legally required to answer directly to Parliament before questioning who would then take on the role of justifying the rationale of the emergency ordinances that were introduced recently. Azalina added that in order to allay doubts of potential conflict of interest on the AG's conduct, any AG should be given the right to be heard in Parliament in person and not through a third party. In order to mitigate this in the future, Azalina said it was high time for the government to consider having a Member of Parliament as Attorney General.
National COVID-19 Immunisation Programme Coordinating Minister Khairi Jamaluddin will be the first minister to brief the Public Accounts Committee when it recommences its proceeding next Tuesday. The proceedings are set to continue the day after, with PAC calling Finance Minister Datuk Sri Tengku Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz as well as Accountant General Datuk Yaakob Mustafa. On January 5th this year, PAC had started its proceedings on the matter by hearing explanations from Khairi and Health Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Adam Baba. PAC Chairman Wong Kah-Wo said the government needs to give a more detailed explanation to the committee after considering the latest developments on vaccine procurement throughout the last 6 months. He assured PAC's commitment in presenting the report to Parliament latest by the second meeting of the Dewan Rakyat session scheduled from October to December this year. Amid the pandemic, many sectors and businesses have adopted digitalization as a strategy for survival. However, there are many areas in which digital adoption can be improved further. To find out on how Malaysia can accelerate its digitalization journey post-pandemic, we speak to Justin Ong, Deloitte Malaysia's Innovation and Regulatory Leader, to highlight key focus areas.
We would really like to see and urge the government to walk the talk for federal, state, governments and agencies to embrace digitalizations or even to adopt 100% cashless payment in providing their services to our people. For businesses, it's important that we would like to see an increased confidence to use the technology and investing in them. Digitalization does help the business to engage the customer and to further enrich the customer experience during COVID-19 time. The last part, which is our people, right, which is an important building block for the whole economy. Digitalization ensuring that there's no rakyat is left behind in the whole digital economy. We need to ensure that 100% of the household with an adequate and quality access to internet.
Justin adds that concerns about privacy and cybersecurity would also need to be addressed.
There's a need to build the trust for consumer in using the data and technology. And the second part is the whole increasing awareness about cybersecurity, because people like yourself and myself, we tend to have a lot of concern in terms of our personal data, the data privacy, how will data be used by the service provider.
Rapid digitalization also needs to happen now, as it is the most important tool for the country to move forward.
We need digitalizations to create jobs in both quantity and quality for our people. We need digitalizations to build bridges for our businesses, to connect more seamlessly and ultimately ensure the prosperity of our community. With digitalizations, I believe that it will drive a more inclusive society and ensures that no rakyat is left behind.
We'll take a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Massive floods in central China have left 18 dead and more than 100,000 people evacuated from their homes. The floods caused by record-breaking rainfall affected a dozen cities in Henan province, including its provincial capital, Zhengzhou.
The torrent of rain turned streets into rapidly flowing rivers. The flood also caused Zhengzhou to shut down the entire subway system. Authorities said more than 500 passengers trapped in subway stations or trains were rescued, but 12 of them died. China experiences regular flooding during the summer, but the growth of cities and conversion of farmland into subdivisions has raised the impact of such events. In a statement today, President Xi Jinping said the flood prevention situation was very severe and at a critical stage. Henan province is home to about 94 million people. Local authorities issued the highest level of weather warning and called the floods a once-in-a-100-years event.
Anger is growing in Australia as 13 million people, about half of the population, are enduring fresh lockdowns, raising pressure on the federal government. A third state, South Australia, joined Victoria and parts of New South Wales in lockdown today as the country grapples to contain an expanding COVID-19 outbreak. Both Victoria and New South Wales reported an increase in cases today.
New South Wales logged 110 new cases, up from 78 the day before, while Victoria clocked 22 new cases from 9 the day before, its biggest increase since the outbreak began this month. The federal government has seen its polling at its lowest in a year due to a sluggish immunization program. Fewer than 14% of Australians are vaccinated, the worst rating among OECD nations. Many people have expressed frustration at being back in harsh lockdowns 18 months into the pandemic. Reopenings in the UK and the US have also increased pressure on the federal government.
With only 2 days to go before the opening ceremony of Tokyo Olympics, more athletes and staff for the Games have tested positive for COVID-19. The head of the Tokyo 2020 Organizing Committee has not ruled out a cancellation of the Games amid growing concern over the COVID-19 situation.
Head of Organizing Committee Toshiro Muto said he would keep an eye on infection numbers and hold discussions if necessary. His comments came on the same day International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach said cancellation was never an option. More than 70 people associated with the Games, including contractors, have tested positive ahead of Friday's opening ceremony, with at least 3 cases confirmed within the Olympic village that is housing athletes. Although the Games don't officially begin until Friday, the sporting action has kicked off with the women's softball and football competitions starting today.
The Olympics will return to Australia for a third time after Brisbane was formally awarded hosting rights for the 2032 Games. The announcement was made this afternoon following a vote of International Olympics Committee's member nations in Tokyo.
Its selection means Australia becomes only the second country in the world after the United States to stage the Summer Olympic Games in 3 different cities. Several cities and countries had publicly expressed an interest in staging the 2032 Games, including Indonesia, China, Hungary's capital Budapest and Qatar's Doha. But Brisbane was widely expected to be selected unopposed under a new system to streamline bid campaigns in order to make them less costly. It will also give the IOC more control and decrease the risk of vote buying. Brisbane will get 11 years to prepare for hosting the Games. Los Angeles will host in 2028, while Paris will host in 2024.
Operation Surge Capacity has the ambitious goal of vaccinating every adult in the KLANG Valley with at least 1 dose by August 1st. Tonight on Consider This, we speak to Bangi MP Dr. Ong Kian Meng, who has been tasked to lead coordination efforts between Selangor and federal governments. That is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Get the latest news update on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines from astroawani.com and Astro AWANI app. I'm Farhana Sheikh. We'll see you again.